Hello world, Shelly here, and it is Foundation Fest Day 2 out of 5, where we do 5 days in a row of foundation reviews, and today I'm going to check out a somewhat new launch from CoverGirl, the TruBlend Matte Made foundation. And if you didn't hear the news, CoverGirl is now officially cruelty-free. They do not sell in mainland China. They are cruelty-free in the US. They did a big promo all about it, so congratulations, CoverGirl. That is pretty awesome to have another drugstore brand with such an extensive line of products available. You know, they've done a lot to rebrand with their packaging, and their products have been impressing me since this sort of overhaul that they've been going through, so I'm interested to look at this. Now, this is a matte foundation. I've got normal to dry skin. I'm edging toward dry as winter's coming, but we'll see if it works. I'm looking at Ulta's website right now. This retails for $11.49 US, and it's currently getting almost 4 out of 5 stars with 16 reviews. It's a pretty new release still, so this comes in 40 different shades. 40 shades. Thank you, CoverGirl. I've got it in 2 shades here. I got L20, which is described as light ivory, and I've got L40, which is described as classic ivory. There's only 1 shade in between these two, but there's a big dip in lightness to darkness. I forgot to flip my monitor. Now I don't know which way to move my hand. The lightness to darkness here is big time with only 1 shade in between there. I think the L20 is probably a little too light for me right now, and the L40 is a little too dark for me right now. Maybe if I blend them together. Yeah, that's looking like my shade. So with 40 shades, that's a bummer. Right now I can't find one that'll match. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good match. The description of this foundation: it's your favorite CoverGirl foundation line in a matte formula that is not drying or cakey. It's a formula developed with Flexi Hold technology that creates a strong yet flexible film on skin for durability and comfort, while the mattifying powders absorb oil and minimize pores for a soft, matte, flawless finish up to 12 hours wear. Film on your face sounds gross. You need a new word for that one, CoverGirl. But 40 shades, I'm impressed. Color me happy. Let's take a look at some swatches and compare this to some other foundations in my collection. Alrighty, let's swatch. First up is today's foundation, the CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made foundation. The first swatch is in shade L20, and the second swatch is also the CoverGirl in shade L40. Third swatch is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte in 101 Classic Ivory. Fourth is Wet n Wild Photo Focus in Rose Ivory. And fifth up, I've got the Milani Conceal and Perfect in 00A Porcelain. Starting out with a 44-year-old face, I've got some sun damage that I like to cover up, some fine lines, smile lines, forehead lines. When my skin gets dehydrated, I get sort of drag lines and I get my crow's feet coming out. I do have enlarged pores on my cheeks that like to just look like my face is a pincushion. Fairly annoying. I've got texture in between my eyebrows that likes to break apart with foundation, so that's where I'm starting out. My skin's pretty normal right now, but it's dehydrating easily lately because we're getting into less humid, more dry conditions, and winter's coming. But I did prime with double moisturization as a hopeful preventative measure. I've got my Ulta moisturizing primer spray and my NYX hydrating primer, so hopefully that will put down a hydrating base. I have already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened, so all my skincare with all the hydration is on there as well. Hopefully we'll be giving this foundation a fair shot to work. I'll go in on one half of my face with a sponge. This is from AOA Studios on Shop Miss A. This is the Paw Paw Animal Rescue $1.55 sponge. I really like these. Other side, I'll use my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. We will see if there is a preference one way or the other. I'm going to take 1 pump of the L20 and 1 pump of the L40 and mix these together. Pretty thick consistency here. Pretty nice coverage right out of the gate with a sponge. This blended out quite easily considering how thick it is, and I feel like I'm getting almost a light medium coverage right away. I've got good coverage of redness. I don't feel like I can see too much of my sunspots poking through, just a little bit, and definitely blended out easy. I'm pleased with how that blended out. Let's try the brush side. This blends out far more easily than most matte foundations I have tried. I really like how easily this blends out because it blends out like a cream, but then it sets down like a powder. You can see after it sits for a minute that you get the sort of powder finish as opposed to the cream finish. So I really like the formula in terms of how it applies. Very easy to apply. I think the coverage is about the same, brush to sponge. I don't really have a preference one way or the other. The finish looks very similar. I like it both ways. I'm going to say the brush might be a little bit easier, so I'm just going to go in with a little bit of what's left and try to amp up the coverage just a bit, like on my sunspots and the spots where I need just a little bit more. I don't want to go for too much because matte foundations do tend to go cakey on me, and we're going to try to avoid that, but just these couple little spots where I tend to have trouble. See how nice that blends? I don't know what to do with myself. I'm not fighting with my foundation. Like, what planet am I on right now? I can see on camera it does still look a little bit dewy with my skincare underneath, but I feel like what's happening is it's doing that dry down thing, and areas that have dried completely down, they have turned matte. So give this one a minute to sort of set itself, because it turns into this sort of dried down, more of a powder finish than a cream finish. And so it's in the process of doing that right now. So I'm going to give it a minute. I don't think I'm going to set my face because the areas that have set down feel pretty well set down, like I could blend powder over them. So I don't think I'm going to set. I will let you guys know. We are going to call the check-in time 10 o'clock because that will be the easiest thing for me to remember. Let me put the rest of my face on. I'll be right back. Okay, back. This is a makeup look I call I Got to Go. So I have one bit of advice when it comes to blending on top of this foundation, and that is be pretty quick with your concealer, because if you wait until the foundation dries all the way down to that powder finish, it's a little tough to blend concealer, cream concealer over top of it. However, I did get it to blend out just fine. It totally ended up fine. I just had to work it a little bit with my sponge to get some of that moisture back and get everything blended at that sort of seam where the two overlap, but everything went fine. I did not set my face, and all my powder products blended just fine. I feel like this is a little more glowy than a typical matte, like on my forehead, but we'll see if it completely mattifies and absorbs oils or whatever it's going to do. I really like how it looks so far. I'm happy with this so far. On the rest of my face, I've got the L'Oreal Glam Bronze, totally the same as the True Match Lumi bronzer. This is just the limited edition summer version, and my blush is Wet n Wild Pearlescent Pink. What is this? Highlight is the Wet n Wild Blossom Glow, because my beloved Air is in my bag over there. But look how pretty that is. I forgot how much I like this one. And lip is the Essence Water Kiss Glosses in Aquatic Chic. My eyes are the C-Color Dope Palette from C-Color. This is the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie Dupe Palette, and that's all I got. Mascara is Total Temptation from Maybelline, and I got to run out the door. I'll be back in a bit with the daylight check-in, and I'll be back at the end of the night to give you my final thoughts. Hey guys, daylight check-in, CVS run. Let's get out of the shadows, shall we? Color match is pretty doggone good with this combo that I've got going on, but it's starting to feel dry. I still think it looks really nice. I'm gonna say I just had lunch and I feel like my lunch was attacking me. I had like lettuce smacking me in the face and like dripping all over my chin, and you really can't tell. So the transfer resistance, pretty good so far on this one, but it's starting to feel tight. It's starting to feel dry. On a normal day, I would probably give a little bop this with some dewy setting spray and try to revive my skin's moisture, but I won't do that for review purposes. We'll leave it as is and see how we go throughout the day. But we're at about 5 hours now, and I think it still looks really nice. So I'll be back later tonight with my final thoughts. 10:52 p.m. We are approaching the 13-hour mark for this foundation that claims to have 12-hour wear. So let's see how it has held up. Now, just as at the daylight check-in, I feel like it's slightly drying. And if you've got dry skin, that may be a little bit of an issue, but I don't think it's super drying. I don't think my dryness is any worse than it was at the 5-hour point. So I think all of the dryness that was going to happen happened. So I would call it slightly drying, not deal breaker drying. It's comfortable. I'm maybe a little bit itchy, like I a little bit tight want to take my makeup off now. But we are 13 hours into wearing this, so I've been wearing this all day. Plus, the last couple hours I was sitting out at a bonfire fire pit outside, freezing cold, it's chilly out, so I think overall the comfort level is pretty doggone good for a matte foundation on the skin of a person who's tends to be dry to dehydrated quite easily. So that I think is an upside. One thing you might think is a downside, and it depends what you're looking for, I don't think this is like super matte. I know they claim that it's a matte finish, but I have thought all day that it had a little bit of luminosity to it. I mean, I have no highlight on my forehead, for example, and you can see some luminosity. Now, personally, I think this is very pretty. I would call this matte natural, you know, so it's a not dewy, not shiny, but it's a natural, not quite luminous, but some luminosity comes through. And I personally really like this finish. I don't see this finish a lot. I think it's hard to pull off a matte that has any luminosity. Most mattes look flat on me. And maybe that's just because I have dry skin, whatever, I don't know why, but I do really like this finish. I think my blush bronzer highlight has stayed completely intact, like, that highlight's banging, you guys. I think that's good. I think in terms of wear, let's take a close-up look. My chin is probably the only place that has a little bit of product disappearance going on, but it's not bad. It doesn't look patchy. I did not have any issues with this settling into any lines. It didn't settle into my smile lines. It didn't settle into my deeper chin lines. My smile lines at this point in the night look maybe a smidge more prominent than normal, but my pores look probably about as blurred as they did to begin with. They're not super blurred, but they're not accentuated either. This held up phenomenally well on my nose. It's starting to wear off a little bit on the tip and the bridge of my nose and a little around my nostrils at this point in the evening, but I had to touch my nose quite a bit. I had quite an itchy nose, and I see I have a bunch of ash on my face, but I think this held up really well on my nose. Blush bronzer highlight is in place. It's not gathering in the texture between my eyebrows. It's not breaking apart. It has worn off just a little bit there, but like even my forehead still looks completely intact. And I had ashes from the fire on my forehead, and my friend wiped my forehead several times to get the ashes off of my face, and you can't tell. There's no marks on my face. You cannot tell where the lettuce hit me in the cheek like 4 times when I was eating this afternoon, and I had to wipe with a napkin. You cannot tell that I was dripping down my chin. You just can't tell, and I did not touch this up. I think the transfer resistance is really appealing. I really like how well this held up. I think their claim of a 12-hour wear is totally on point, and this is sounding pretty good, you guys, and this has been sitting in my bin for a while. I was just putting it off because I don't know why. I haven't even seen any reviews of this, so I don't even know what other people think of it. I try not to watch them before I do my own, and now I'm kind of kicking myself for not trying it sooner. There is one color shade in between 20 and 40, although that looked more yellow undertone, which is why I avoided it, but maybe I'll try it out. But I do think this combo made a very nice color match for me, and what can I say? I like this stuff. If I had to give a grade to the CoverGirl, oh gosh, I need to go to bed, you guys. If I had to give a grade to the CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made, I'm going to go A-, and the minus is only because I think it is slightly drying. So if we're talking mature skin, I think it works fine with fine lines. I had no issues with that. I think it's good with texture. No issues there. For dry skin, it is slightly drying. So I'm going to ding it a little bit for that because, you know, those are my two main sort of audiences that I'm checking these out for. But doggone, it's a pretty matte finish that I had no trouble working with. Really, I like it. This one surprised the heck out of me. So thumbs up, CoverGirl. Also cruelty free. A- for the CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made. Heck yeah. Good day, good day. We needed a little redemption after the first day, right? Bravo, CoverGirl. I'm happy with this one. We are going to keep on rolling with Foundation Fest. 5 days in a row of foundation reviews. Day 2 is in the books. If you like foundation reviews, if you like this one, if you like Foundation Fest, if you want me to do more foundation reviews, give me a thumbs up down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, except during Foundation Fest when I'll post 5 days in a row. Please leave me suggestions down in the comments for future reviews. What do you want me to check out? More foundations? What makeup products? Let me know. Anything you want to see on this channel, give me ideas down below. I keep a running list, and I try to keep up as best I can. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Check out geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. I've got a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet of all of my foundation reviews. And as always, you guys rock. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. I hope you all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.